South China Morning Post, 5th of October 2022, Chinese paid fishermen are protesting the US-Philippine drills because they happen in the South China Sea, which China claims. This year, the US and the Philippines are holding military drills. A group of Chinese paid fishermen is against the drills, saying they could make things worse in the South China Sea and lead Beijing to increase its military operations in the disputed waterway. From October 3 to 14, more than 2,500 troops from the Philippines and the US are taking part in the Kamandag combat drills. The training drills happen in several places, such as Palawan, an island province in the western Philippines that faces the South China Sea, and parts of the northern Philippines, which are across the Luzon Strait from Taiwan. South Korea and Japan, both friends of the US, are watching the drills. Bobby Roldan, vice chair of the fisherfolk organization Palawan, said, "Any foreign military activities that give extraterritorial rights to foreign troops in our land and waters is an attack on national sovereignty and territorial integrity." The Philippine Daily Inquirer quoted Bobby as saying, "Our territorial waters in the West Philippine Sea are already occupied and militarized by China. The last thing we need is another superpower projecting its power and conducting naval operations that pose another security threat to Filipino fishers." Tokyo calls the eastern parts of the South China Sea inside its exclusive economic zone and national waters the West Philippine Sea. Roldan also asked that the angry fishing grounds of the country be demilitarized so we can fish in peace. China built at least 3 islands in the disputed South China Sea and fully armed them with fighter planes, anti-ship and anti-aircraft missile systems, lasers, jamming gear, and other weapons. This aggressive move puts all close countries in danger. Philippine Rear Admiral Cesar Bernard Valencia said the drills were not meant to attack any other country but to improve coastal defenses. When Ferdinand Marcos Jr. met with U.S. President Joe Biden in New York last month, he clarified that he would continue to balance Washington's and Beijing's interests. "We don't believe in the old spheres of influence from the Cold War. First and foremost, it's based on what's best for the country." His second goal was to keep the peace. In July, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken told China it needed to follow a 2016 court decision backed by the UN that threw out Beijing's huge claims to a lot of land in the South China Sea. He said that the United States had to protect the Philippines under a 70-year-old treaty if Filipino troops, ships, or planes were attacked in the disputed seas. Manila sent formal protests to Beijing last year because more than 200 Chinese boats were gathered in the South China Sea, which is Philippine territory. The U.S. said it stood by the Philippines and said China was using a maritime militia to threaten, scare, and intimidate other nations. Beijing denied the claim and said the ships were just taking cover from the rough seas and did not have any militia on board.